So in so far we have discussed many basic points, right, which we required as a part of the software tester, like what is SDLC, right? What is the different role of the people in the software development life cycle? What are the normal IT teams or project teams look like, right? The designer, the developer, tester, and the cloud engineer, and what they actually do, right? What tools they use, right? What responsibility they took in the SDLC. So we have discussed all those things. What is web based application, what is Windows based application, what is mobile based application, right? What is project, what you can call the product, and all those things. Then we have also discussed about the different domains we have in the IT, like the healthcare, insurance, banking, e-commerce, human resource, and CRM. Why we discuss this? Because each and every company will work on one of the domain, right? The company should have at least one domain to work on. So that's the reason when we have your resume, right? In your resume we will find the company with the specific domains, the healthcare, insurance, and all those things. Then all about our SDLC that we just gone through with our project team as well, how it's going to be work and how it's going to be uh, uh, SDLC is going to be completed, like the requirement analysis, designing, then development, then testing phase, and all those things, right? So now, then after we have discussed about the different models of the software development life cycle, right? The waterfall model and how the agile model is going to be work, right? In the agile we do everything continuously, right? We just keep getting the requirement from the customer, we keep getting the review the requirement, then we develop, then we test, and then we deploy on the server. So this is we discuss in the term of the model. Then we gone with the basic of software testing. What is the quality you mean, and what is the software testing, right? Then we got with the why we required the software testing. Then there are few of the instance that has happened in the past in the real life, right? And that's the reason people are more concerned about the software testing. Then we gone through the STLC. What is STLC? That means software requirement, test planning, test case development, environment setup, test executions, and all those things. Then again we go with the QA and QC, that is quality assurance verification. You can also call it verification. Then quality check-ins means you can also call this validation, right? What is the difference between them? Then what is the role of tester in an IT company? When tester join any company, right? What is the role of the tester? Then we go with the black box testing in detail, right? What is black box testing and how you can achieve that stuffs? What is white box testing, right? What is their difference? And then we talked about the functional testing. Then we talk about the different level of testing. Then what is a smoke testing, sanity test, right? Integration and UAT testing, user acceptance testing. And today we are going to start with this little bit about the non-functional testing, right? I know we have discussed bit of the non-functional testing, like what are the non-functional testing, the performance testing, the load testing, the failover testing, stress testing, security, and all those things. But I want to just deep down into the details, because it is that is important you to understand what is actually you do in the performance testing, right? Even though the performance tester they have itself their very vast role in the IT, right? The performance tester, when, because currently what we are learning more kind of the web automation engineer, web tester, right? But the performance tester are the people who know each and everything about the performance testing, like they, like a Selenium, they learn the JMeter, load runner, and all those things. But as a part of QA engineer, we should be aware about what exactly the performance testing do and all those things. Okay. So I think Anthony, you joined, right? Anthony, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So let's start with you, Anthony. Can you just let me know what is performance testing in one line?
Performance testing.
Yeah.
That's part of the. It's a type of the non functional testing
Yes. Non-functional
category.
testing.
Yeah, it's a type of software testing that's intended to determine how a system performs in terms of responsiveness and stability under a certain load.
Exactly. Exactly, exactly. So guys, we have the performance testing, right? So let me just write it down something over here. The performance testing. So what we normally check in the performance testing, right? Why we do the performance testing, right? So performance testing is normally we do to check the speed of the application, right? Then response, how it's gonna give the response time of the application. Then stability, means how much application is stable with the uncertain load on the application, right? When the memory got increased or decreased, the internet speed got increased or decreased, how it's going to be work, right? Then reliability. Then
It's own. So is this non-functional testing?
yeah, this is non-functional testing, performance testing.
Okay. So all right, no problem.
Yeah. So this is a part of non-functional testing, but we are not going to talk about non-functional anymore. We will talk about the actual their what they actually mean, right? So that's the reason I'm talking about the performance testing, right? Now this is what we normally measure in the performance testing. You got my point. So we need to make sure our application should perform or should respond our each and every request in a expected time duration. So let me just open any application and we will open the ebay.com, right? Now see over here, when I type ebay.com, right, and I count the time, you see it's take only 3 seconds to load complete website. So many factor is involved. First things, they will check my internet speed. If I have the slow internet, then it may be possible it's gonna take a time, right? But my internet speed is good, then we need to check their response, how they have configured their application. If they have a good memory on their server where they have host this application and all those things. So I will just say it's a pretty much good, right? 2 to 3 seconds, it's good. So it says page load timeout, right? Page load time means page is loading within a expected time. Now what is user request, right? So let's suppose if you click on somewhere, if you search something and click on search button, that will become the user request, right? So it should also respond quickly on the user request. So if I click on the electronic or if I click on the fashion, right, let me click on the fashion. So if I click on the fashion, you see straight away within a 2 to 3 seconds he lists down the category of the fashion. Now if I just click and check on the, I will just say the shoes, right, then it quickly load all the shoes. So I will just say this application based on the performance is pretty much good for my users to access, right, because it's responding me very well. So I will just say it is pretty much good application in term of the performance testing, right? So this we can do manually as well. This we can do using the automation tool called JMeter, Load Runner, and all those things, right? So always remember, when somebody asks you or when somebody says, okay, what is JMeter or what is Load Runner? So they are the popular tool which we used for the performance testing, right? We will measure the performance of the application. Okay. Now this is what we have in the performance testing. But now what are the different types of performance testing, guys, right? So there are mainly two types I will discuss today, and you also aware about in our last session, right? That is called stress testing and load testing. This is mainly people are concerned, stress testing, and these are the type of performance testing, guys. They are not the separate, they are the subtype of the performance testing. Always remember, stress testing and load testing. Now in the performance testing, right, what normally you gonna test, what normally problem you gonna face in the performance testing, right? So I will just write down few of the common problem so you will get the idea. Problems in performance means bugs, what kind of bugs you can find in the performance testing, right? So I will just say first the page load time, right? Then response time, right, means I will just say long page load type, right? If it is taking long to load, then I will just say poor response time, means it is taking much time to send the response based on the user request. Then I will just say poor scalability, right? What is scalability? Increasing or decreasing on the stuffs, increasing of number of user and decreasing number of users, so poor scalability, right? Then what else we can thought on this one? What you normally guys face when you do
Um,
the on the application?
Pulkit, I have a question.
Yeah,
For the second one, you wrote truth response team.
yeah,
Are you is that truth or poor?
poor, poor.
Oh, okay.
you
Just,
you
just,
keep you keep proofreading my spellings.
I mean, see, the thing is, I need to learn, you know?
Yeah. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. This is a part of QA as well. You need to make sure whatever has written on the screen are correct or not, right?
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
because if we say
Now,
something,
yeah,
especially
exactly. So
because
yeah, the long page load time, poor response time, right, on the user request, then poor scalability, right? Then what others your it's come in your mind when you talk about when you think about the performance, or imagine if you're working if you're searching something on Google, or you are doing some online shopping or online payment, what else will come in your mind?
the pick source, I would say,
Sorry.
or the design of it, how it looks, you know?
Okay. So that will
I
be come
believe
under UI testing, Ali, the user
yeah.
interface testing, right?
Hmm.
Mm.
That doesn't fall under performance if like the quality of the image or whatever you're seeing doesn't
No,
doesn't
if the quality of the image is not good, that means it is a part of the UI testing, the user interface testing, because the website itself is not looks good, right? But over here we are talking about the performance, means what is related with the performance, right? So I will just say one more couple of things that we normally check from the server side, right? So I will just say a couple of things from the server side.
So how about stability?
Stability, it's already there. Stability is already there. We check the stability, right? Right. Stability means you. It's bit confusing, the stability and the scalability, but they both are mixed up. Okay. So stability, yeah, that is a one of the point you will found if it is stable or not. Then what else you can see? You can see these stuffs, right? You can just see your CPU or server CPU utilization, right? Sometimes you found, okay, your CPU is getting very much load because of that application you have opened, right? So this is the steps one come in your mind. Then second thing I will just say is memory utilization, right? I will show
Could
you
you
very
grab
very
that list?
then network
yeah, CPU,
utilization.
you mean like other windows that's like
Exactly.
slowing down
I
your
will show you these steps. I will show you these steps. Then some operating system limitation. Sometimes we have operating system limitations, right? And disk uses. Now let me show you these things. Now let me show you these things. How it is gonna be interconnected. So you see these all those stuffs we normally when we work on any application, right? When we work on any application, then at that time we will check all these stuffs. Where? So let me just show you. Just hold on. I will right click, always right click and go to task manager, right? When you go to the task manager, you see over here, guys, CPU, memory, disk, and network. So sometimes this is also cause the problem. You got my point. Sometimes you see over here, it's highlighting the Zoom
but
meeting, right? So this
but
is the
that's
normal
normally on the user
performance.
side.
Yeah, this is the normal stuff is going on my machine. You see everything. CPU. But sometimes if you have something, I will just say, which is breaking the system, you will see the CPU on the 95%, memory on the 95%, disk. Disk is mainly depends on the physical space you have, right? So
Mhm.
on your laptop or on your computer, how much you will have as a part of this one. You see this one, C drive, D drive, how many space you have in your laptop. So everything, all these parameters are related with the performance of the system. Let's suppose if you have very low configuration in your laptop, right? So it may be possible your laptop will work slow with the internet, right? If you load any website, it's not going to load as much as quickly as, right? So these are the factors depend on the performance testing, guys, right? The space in the disk, mainly on the C drive, because C drive it is our drive where we install everything, right? The operating system and all those goes installed in the C drive. So if you do not have the space enough space in the C drive, right, like you have only 3 GB. Like initially before 1 month in my C drive, it was only space of 6 GB, but I increased that space and now it is says 181. That means my computer is pretty much fast now, right? So similar things you can observe, and sometimes anybody says, okay, my application is not working, right? Always check these things, how many CPU utilization it has, because this is what we sometimes give the developer as well, right? So if we face the application is running very slow, we take a screenshot of this screen, right, and send to the developer. You see how much time it is taking, or memory utilization and all those things.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is one of the things you need to check, and these are the parameter you normally check in terms of the performance testing, right? CPU utilization, memory utilization, disk space utilization, network utilization, and all those things. Okay.
Can I ask that question?
Yeah.
What you just told us, that's more on the user side of testing, right?
Similar things you can also check on the client server. Let's suppose if you raise a request to Amazon.com, right? So Amazon.com also have their IT team, right? The people who maintain their server, the cloud engineer. So they can check this parameter on their server side. You got my point?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, because if something going wrong, right, it may be possible it is something wrong in the client side or something wrong on the server side. So we represent mainly client, right? Because we are accessing the application. So we need to also make sure those stuffs. Okay, if our computer has some problem or not. Okay,
Mhm.
perfect. Now let's we talk about stress testing, right? Before stress testing, I will talk about the load testing, right? So I will just say the load testing is a part of performance testing, and over here we normally determine the maximum load, right? We determine over here the maximum load that application can handle, right? Maximum load, right? And load in terms of the user, number of users, right? When I just says load, that means number of users, right? We need to
Got you.
make sure
Yeah.
these things. Now how we can do these things, let me just show you the one practical example, right? So we got one application, we will take one application. Let's suppose we have www.zuzu.com, right? This is our application. Now we want to do the load testing, so how we can start? So I will just say, and why we mainly do the load testing and stress testing, because we need to make sure our application or our website should work as expected in the festival time mainly, guys. Because when Amazon says, okay, we have big sale on Christmas, right? Or when anybody says we have uh, big discount on our product, right? At that time people will go crazy and they will go on their website and start buying the stuffs and booking the stuffs, right? So at that time, if suppose if many users are coming to your website and they are trying to buy something, or let's suppose if you have travel website, right, then they're gonna gonna book the hotel, or they're gonna book the flight ticket and all those things. If at that time your application get crashed, right, that means you are losing your reputations. You are also making the other people's life hard, because they are middle of the something. They are not sure if their ticket is booked or not, their money got deducted. Now they need to wait for 10 days to get refund and all those things. So to overcome on all those stuffs, right, mainly people go with the load testing and stress testing, because they want to just make sure their website should work in term of the, if they are running any campaign on their website, or they are running any festival offer on their website and all those things. Okay, perfect. Now how it's going to be work, so let me just show you. Over here we normally depends on two things: users, right, and response time. Users, response time, and the third one I will just say is acceptance, right? Acceptance criteria. So these three things we're gonna test on the user test on this one, right? So suppose now for initially we test this application with 100 user, right? And response time will be within 2 to 3 second. 2 to 3 second. right? And I will just say yes, this is pass, this can be accepted. Then we have another test with the 150 users, right? And again it is taking the same time, 2 to 4 second now. Sometimes it is taking the 4 second. Then I will again say it's pass, because my maximum response time criteria will be 6 to 7 second. It should not go more than 6 to 7 second, right? So again I will increase the load. I will just say straight away, I will just say 250. Now I am saying okay, it's gonna be between 4, 4 to 6 seconds now, right? So I will just say again pass, because 6 is my criteria. Then I will just say okay, let's we do the 350. Then it's gonna be a little bit difficult because it's going to above the 7. Now it's saying sometimes it's taking the time of 8 seconds. So I will just say uh, need to check, right? Need to check one, or something goes wrong. I cannot say this is pass. Over here I can found something, so I need to check these things, right? Then again after this I will just check with the 500 users, right? And it's gonna be says okay, now it's gonna take the 10 second or more than 10 second, right? So it says not accept, so I will just say failed, right? So this is gonna be failed, this is gonna be failed, this all gonna be pass, right? And this is gonna be the point where we need to think. You got my point? This is gonna point where we need to think. So now what I will do, I will just go and just says okay, now I want to do some testing between these numbers. So I will just say I will test with the 275, right? Then I will just test with the I will test with the 300, right? And now on the 300 I'm continuously getting 6 to 7 seconds, right? I done the couple of tests and getting 6 to 7 seconds. So I will just say this is pass, but this is the point where I should tell the management okay, this is the maximum load that our application gonna be take, right? 300 user. So I got the maximum load of on the application, that if 300 user connect to my application at the same time, right? Again understand, at the same time guys, at the same time, not like one user is coming and he finish his transaction and second user will coming and finish the transaction. No, all they coming together at the same time and working on our application. That is called, that is mainly we focus on the load testing, right? So over here we identify the maximum number of users gonna be used, right? With this one is a this one, right? I will just say this is the maximum expected criteria for my application, 300 users, right? And what is the stress testing then, right? So in the stress testing we again, hello.
I'm
Yeah. So in the stress testing, we again check the same thing, right? In the stress testing, we also again check the, I will just say the the maximum load of the application with respect to certain conditions, right? Maximum load of on the application with respect to other conditions, right? To check stability and right? Reliability and stability. This is what we check in the stress testing, right? I will give you the practical example so you will get more idea. Now when I just says with respect to other condition, right? So I will include these condition guys, I will include these conditions. You got my point? CPU, memory, internet speed and all those things. Now suppose I know what is the maximum point of my application, right? So I will do the testing around 300 only, because I know the 300 is the maximum, right? So I will just say 300 user, right? With the 4 GB, I will just say RAM, right? And I will just say internet speed is good, right? And I will just say my test case is pass, right? You see over here we add few more stuffs guys. We add users, memories, right? Then we also check the internet speed at the same times, and then
So
we,
the only way,
yeah,
So the only way to improve like the stress test as far as the load testing is to give back the testing to, I guess, the developers, right? And have them work something out with, or they can actually take on more than 300, or no?
No, to improve, most of the time, if you want to improve the performance of the application, right, you have to focus on your how much memory you will have, what is the response time you will have, right, what is the bandwidth you have on the internet. You got my point. When you let me just show you something. Uh, That's a good point. Let's suppose you prepare one of any website, right? And that website is going to be hosted on the internet, over the internet, right? So there are
Mm-hmm.
like GoDaddy and Big Rock, if you have here, right? So I'll just
Right.
go with the Big Rock, which is the hosting service provider, right? Big Rock hosting. You see? So now it's again depends on what type of hosting you will have, right? Suppose if you have the a very low memory hosting, you see over here it says unlimited transfer
Mm-hmm.
bandwidth, means you can do any number of transaction. People can come back, come to your website, search
Oh,
or anything, right? You see over here
yeah,
it says
I see that.
unmetered storage. So all those things also depends on the performance increase, right? Let's suppose your application is very good, right, but
Mm-hmm.
still you are getting very low performance. Why? This is not a fault from developer, this is fault from where we have hosted the application, right? It maybe we have taken the normal plan, right, where we have only 2 GB or 20 GB storage. So if the maximum people is coming to there, then it's going to be utilized, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
need something unlimited, so our a number of user can come and access our application at any time. You got my point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So performance testing depends on those stuffs mainly, right? Then suppose now I'm gonna do with the same user 300 user, but now I'm gonna use this 3 GB or 2 GB, right? I'm just says 2 GB RAM, right? Then I will just says my speed is, I'm gonna keep the my speed is good, internet speed is good, right? And then it's gonna says okay, it's also gonna be pass, right? 2 GB is also is fine. So I can understand my application mainly depends on internet speed, because if I load down the memory but still have the good internet, it is working fine, right? Now I just says 300 users, right, and 2 GB RAM, sorry, 2 GB RAM and medium internet speed. So I will just say little bit different, difficult, I will just near to fail. Then again 300 and 2 GB RAM, and I will just say my internet speed is very low, that means it is failing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's failing for sure, right? It's failing for sure. So this is how, once you identify the maximum number of user is going to be hit your application, you can do the stress testing with the other parameter, right? The other parameter you can see on your screen,
Yes.
right? So this is the point where I need to concern on the stress testing, right? Because it's mainly depends on my internet speed and the memory low, right? So this is what you can do, guys, in the stress testing and the load testing. You got my point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If somebody asks you, if you explain these things in like this way, it will give you the full marks, right? In the load testing, you mainly concern on the number of user gonna hit your application, and in the stress testing, you mainly concern on the number of maximum user, how it's gonna be work on the different situations, how the reliability and stability can be checked. Okay, guys, we might be gonna disconnect it, right? So
Yeah, it is.
I want you to reconnect again, and we can
All right.
continue. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.